Hi again. This next question, you know what? Someone asked me, Mira, you're always talking about the bad things of marrying a Filipina. Can you tell me good things about them? I'm sorry. I thought talking to me would give you another perspective of, what Filipinas are. But then again, I realized that I'm not religious, so I'm sorry. Anyway, I can give you some examples about, the good and bad things about Filipinas. So I'm gonna start with the good things. Okay, Filipinas out there, if you are watching this video, please don't take it like, don't get hurt so much. These are just my personal experience, and sometimes I got this from my own characteristic or other people, something like that. And if you think you are not this type of Filipina, you can just write it down there and tell them or share other characteristics that maybe I have forgotten. So don't get hurt. Gosh. Anyway, I would also, just share it down there so don't get really angry at me like, this is not the Filipina, something like that. So be open-minded, and it doesn't mean because I said it, it's already you. Now, I'm gonna start with the good ones, of course, because that was the question. Well, Filipinas are, people might not know this, they are very patient. Yes, we are very patient. When I say patient, we are the, like, another word for patient, like I guess that's the only word. Patient, like, if you have noticed a lot of Filipinas, they're going through hard times, but still they smile, they are very patient with their situation, even though they're not really happy, something like that. Like, I joined this girl group before of Men Can't Join. There are about maybe 20,000 Filipinas there, rich, poor, blah blah blah. Some are married to foreigners, some are not married, some are married to Filipinos. So these people, in my own, observation, they're really in this, bad situation financially, emotionally, but they still stay there because they're considering, they're just being patient, even because they are considering the person that they love. So I guess, if a Filipina loves you, even though no matter how difficult it is, she'll be there for you. I think all women are like that, but yeah, I've seen that with a lot of Filipinas. Sometimes, even my stepmom, when she has a difficulty with my dad before, I was the one telling her, you can find someone else and don't hurt yourself anymore. That was, because I felt sorry that time. But then again, of course, it was her choice. But yeah, they're so patient, especially if you're talking about the person that they love. There are a lot of situations that even a foreigner doesn't have money. Yeah, the Filipina is willing to be with that foreigner. More even Filipinos with the Filipino men. Next one. Some are very religious. I'm not saying all. So most of them are religious. I guess that's the thing, It's a good and bad thing, I guess. The good part about being religious, they have these morals like, when you get married, you shouldn't separate, which is, a little bit cliche for me. But another thing is marriage is important, or praying is important. But I think, for Filipinas, the reason why they can take the hardships is because they are praying. I think because God is like a free psychologist. A psychiatrist. Like, right? Like, you're gonna tell him your problem and then you feel better. Especially women. We vent out by talking. Unlike men, you guys just tend to keep quiet and think about it. So, next one. this thing is, I'm not implying it to all, but most Filipinas, they are loving mothers. Really, like, I'm not saying all, but most Filipinas, it's okay for them that their husband would leave them as long as they have their children. And then, yeah, some of them would work in the bar just to support that child. Some of them would, it's a little bit bad. They would, con foreigners just to support their child. And then some of, their love for their children is really, you cannot doubt that. When they always say that it's their life, it's the one that makes them happy. And what else? Yeah, like it's okay not to have a husband as long as they keep their children, something like that. Although, of course, the sad thing is they don't really plan about the future of the child, so they also get in trouble with that. But they are good moms. They really love their children. Like, seriously. Next one, they can learn, but they can learn fast, easily, but sometimes they doubt themselves. I think I put them together because Filipinos, especially example here in Japan or other countries, it's so easy for them to learn the language, except for me. So yeah, and they are that one. They are adaptable. They can adapt situations easily, and I think that's a good thing. They can learn how the culture works and adapt it. I guess it's because we have been to a lot of, we have been colonized a lot of times and we have to adapt a lot of times. So, so even if, for example, their life in another country is not as fancy as they would imagine, still they're trying to adapt. So I think that's a good thing, right? Next one. They are good cooks. Not all, but most. So I guess it is because when we were young, actually my grandma didn't really push me to learn how to cook, but my aunts did, but I still didn't learn. My grandma's reasoning was, you will learn when you get married. I guess that's how she learned. That's why she said that to me. But most are good cooks, and they are more than willing to become, most of them are willing to become housewives, the traditional one. And most of them are still thinking that way. Like, I saw these comments, like one woman, she was saying that, I feel sad that I'm just a housewife, blah, blah, blah. And then everyone commented, no, I feel the same way. It's okay, or something like that. It's the most like heroic or patriotic or divine job that you have, something like that. On the sad part, because they think so traditionally, like the man should earn and the woman should keep the house, some of them lose their opportunities to explore themselves more. But of course, it's a choice between couple. Next one, they are family oriented. Yes, they value their family so much. I guess we have this Filipino thing that sometimes, like, what belongs to me belongs to the whole family. That's their belief, which is really sad sometimes. And some don't really work hard to make it better. Some. Next one. Most Filipinas, except for me, they keep their slim figures. I guess because of our diet on what we eat, but they keep their figures. Now, what are the bad things? Of course, there are some other bad things. Probably, the antonym of what I said beforehand. But I'm gonna give you some examples. Sometimes Filipinas they are envious. I think all women are. So, especially when it is with other Filipina women. For example, this Filipina woman married a rich foreigner, and then I married a foreigner who's not rich, and then I would see everything she has and I'll envy, and then I'll be frustrated, and then something like that. So it's really sad, and it ends up like, instead of being happy for that person, some Filipinas would gossip about that person and, you know, ruin her name just because they envy her. What there's a saying, you hate me because you ain't me. Is it correct? And then the next one, family. Yeah. In as much as being family oriented is good, on the other hand, some tend to abuse generosity of one of their family members. Like, you know, it's unfair. Like some loses their own happiness because they are worried about their brothers, sisters, blah blah blah. Before I came here in Japan, I was rest assured by my family that I don't have to worry about them. But sometimes I feel sorry, but most of the times I don't. No, I just think about myself first. And besides, I'm not rich. I'm not a millionaire yet. Next one. How can I be a millionaire? Next one. They have self-doubts. This is doubting themselves. Like, you know, I had this. If you compliment them, they don't really want to accept that because they doubt themselves, like maybe they can't do it even though they can. And then when you start doubting yourself, probably they have been limited, you know. They have, first, they are insecure. Second, they limited themselves, because once you start doubting yourself, you're already limiting yourself with your, you know, what you can do with your life. Mostly Filipinos, like I have several friends, when I push them to do this, do that, God, you have to push them like whole day just to do it, because, you know, they just doubt themselves. Or sometimes when they have children and then they want to go back to work, but because they didn't have work experience, or because they have a degree but they didn't work for a long time, they start doubting themselves. So it really, you know, brings their self-esteem down. Last one, yeah, we are mostly jealous. Yes, we easily get jealous. Of course, some are not jealous, but yeah, normally we are jealous, especially when it comes to foreigners. As I've said before, there are more Filipinas than foreigners. If you're gonna probably, if I am the owner of Date in Asia website, maybe it's like 20% foreigners and 80% Filipinas, something like that, or 50% plus other countries. So there's a competition. That's why they're jealous easily. So if you have other things to share, you can write them down here. Probably I don't know them. Then I'm gonna tell you if I agree or not. But mostly I would agree. I guess you wouldn't say it if it didn't happen. That's my logic. You know, you wouldn't say something if you haven't experienced or someone didn't experience it. But just because it's happening to someone doesn't mean it's happening to everyone. But at the same time, just because it didn't happen to you, it doesn't mean it doesn't happen to someone. So I hope that helps. And yeah, it's okay to love a Filipina. If they love you, they would love you so much, from the moon and back.